Hey there, gang. It is time for another comic book unboxing video. As always, I have been given this box of books to grade for sale on eBay, but I have no idea what is in this box. So you and I will make that discovery together. Thanks for coming along for the ride. If you like comic books, stick around. We're going to have some fun. Hey there, Bubby. Welcome to Shanghai. My name is Duke, and this is an unboxing video. So you know the deal. I work for a company that buys and sells comic books online all over the world. A lot of the books we sell on eBay is what we call raw singles, and my job is to put a grade on those books using the Overstreet grading process. And I have no idea what is in this box. It's somebody else who culls the collections down and, divvies them into different sales streams. And I just know I get a box of books on my desk and no idea what I'm going to be working with that day. So I'm glad you're here. We'll have some fun looking at these books together and discussing them in the comments below. Please do like, share, subscribe, comment away. Do all the groovy things, and we're getting pretty close to the drawing. Once I get to 500 subscribers, I will be having 2 drawings, giving away 2 Bronze Age mystery boxes. So that will be fun. We're only about 20 subscribers away, so tell your friends. Other than that, let's not waste any time. Let us jump right in, see what we've got. If you're interested in any of these books, this really isn't a commercial. That's not why I do this, but if you are interested, these usually show up on eBay about a week or so after I do my grading video. And the seller name is .com Comics. Just go to eBay and search for the seller .com Comics. All together is one word. So we're going to start off with Marvel Collector's Item Classics. And these are classics. This series reprinted early Marvel books. And these are early reprints. In a lot of cases, these are maybe the very first time these stories were reprinted. And I say early, this is 1966. And of course, the Marvel Universe started, 61, 62? So these are pretty early reprints. And the other thing, too, is at this time, Marvel likely had the original art still on hand. A lot of it disappeared over the years, kind of walked off on its own, as it were. But, this time, I presume they still had the original art because there's still, this repros very nicely. And in a lot of stuff, even the Masterwork series and things like that, you lose a lot of the detail because those are, more often than not, they are reprinted using the printed comic book rather than the original art or the photo stats or the plates that were made. And so you lose a lot of detail. And that's true with a lot of, Golden Age and early Silver Age stuff that you get in the archive and the treasury formats. Joe Shuster gets a knock, Superman co-creator Joe Shuster, but his art really wasn't as crude as it appears. I mean, it was to a certain extent, but it was a lot finer, a lot more highly detailed than it appears from the reprints that we have to work with today. But these were nice and early reprints, nice reproduction on them. The giant size Marvel books of the 70s often had this the square bound spine all crushed in, usually more as an artifact of the printing process rather than handling. But these books all have nice square spines. This series generally, when I see it, it does have still the nice square spines. And these books will probably go for 10, 15, maybe 20 bucks for some of them. But if you haven't read these early Marvel Universe stories, this is a great way to get them. For that price, getting 4 classic books for $5, essentially, $5 each, so 20 bucks for that book. Less than the price each of a modern comic book. And you would get a complete story as opposed to something that's part of a 20-part serial. So and if you can't afford the originals, and who can, right? Or if you can, they're going to be really low grade. Or if you can't afford the treasuries and the omnibuses and the Masterworks collections, which are you know, 75, 100, 125 bucks. These are still a really good economical way to get those. What the hell is this? These word balloons. A couple of folks having conversations about how great these books are. Well, they are great. They absolutely are. And so, yeah, nice economical way to get these early Marvel classics. And as I said, the reproduction on the stories within is really quite nice. You know, it's as good as the original. So, and I have been calling out the issue numbers, and I think we're kind of all over the map because, well, no, I guess they've been kind of sequential. Here's number 14 and 15. And after a time, this it still had other stories in it, but they abandoned the early cover motif and began just featuring mostly the, what does this say on it? Jay? This was Jay's comic book. Well, as I said, these are in pretty good condition, but you always have some artifacts. But again, you know, I predict those will go for, you know, 10, 15, 20 bucks each. But most of them are kind of in the 6-ish range. Here's number 17. 18. And I think, you correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below, but I think this became Marvel's greatest comics and went on to feature just Fantastic Four reprints. So I guess we're done with those. We're on to the Eternals now, which is doing Boffo business. I laugh because the trailer for the movie was just so underwhelming to me. I have just about no interest in seeing this movie, but we'll see what kind of reviews it gets. Oh, here's Marvel Tales. So Marvel Tales started out just like Marvel's Marvel Collector's Item Classics. Oh, I was just looking at it and I spaced on the name. But Marvel Tales, you probably know it best as a Spiderman reprint title, but like the Collector's Item Classic, it started out reprinting a bunch of stuff. Here's oh wow, this is the very first appearance of Metamorpho in Brave and the Bold, number 57. So that's cool. I believe that's by Ramona Fradon, who I think is still with us. She's still alive. She's like 94, something like that. Here's some more Eternals, number 5. And I've mentioned this before in past videos, but it used to be you couldn't give the Eternals away. And there were some people who love it, and I've sort of disparaged it and got called to task in the comments, and that's fine. You know, don't ever let me discourage you from loving what you love. This guy looks like Stiltman. Probably be a better book if he was. No, I'm kidding. Don't let me discourage you from loving what you love. You know, my opinion notwithstanding, what you like is what you like, and that's okay. I was not myself a big fan of the Eternals at the time. I thought it was kind of a New Gods rehash, which was kind of an Inhumans rehash. And so, and it was Kirby in his latter period where he was, I don't want to say coasting, but I don't think the inking was as good for one thing, but also, well, his skills, I think, actually did deteriorate there towards the end. But also, here you go, some Dazzler. What do you think of that? Uncanny X-Men 130. His skills did deteriorate towards the end. But some of that, too, is you find a lot of older artists. Not that you have any older artists these days anymore. There's a lot of ageism in comics. But they would build up sort of a muscle memory. You know, they know how to draw a certain character and how to draw a certain pose because they've done it, you know, 20 times a month, every month for 20 years. And so towards the end of their career, their stuff just gets kind of static and stale. And that was true with Kirby as well. So here's some X-Men. Here is the Monica Rambeau Captain Marvel in Avengers 227. I think she becomes the leader of the team at that point. Here's the first appearance of Patsy Walker as Hellcat, Avengers 144. The iconic Ant-Man on the Arrow cover. We saw that scene in the movies. This is the first appearance of Nebula. Maybe we can take a look inside. And maybe we can, there she is. She was green-skinned, I believe. Kind of a greenish blue hue. So, first Nebula. That's what makes that book something special. Here is the first Taskmaster. First, it's cameo appearance. Oh, look at that. That's all folded back. Maybe I won't get in there. But he just appears. Take my word for it. Cameo on the last panel. And then the next issue is his first full appearance. Avengers number 7 with some Thanos. That's always nice. Avengers 56. A little rough here, it looks like, but still. This is the first appearance of Scott Lang, who would soon become Ant-Man, and I've shown you this before, but it is just a 2-panel cameo. Where is he? Right there. Boom, boom. And then his next appearance will be in Marvel Premiere 47, where he becomes Ant-Man. X-Men 111, I've told you in past openings, that was my first X-Men book as a kid, and that cover just really drew me right in. Old Banshee there, breaking the fourth wall, talking right to the reader. And this period of the X-Men was just fantastic. I ended up dropping out of the X-Men around shortly before issue 200. And here we are, 114. So it was nearly 100 issues. I stuck with this book. But then it seemed to me about the time that he introduced Rachel Summers, it seemed like Chris Claremont was kind of losing the plot a little bit, as it were. And I did not like John Romita Jr.'s artwork. So, and I really have read very, very few X-Men books since then. Here's 117. So I'm not married. You know, people make fun of me because I'm a big fan of the Legion of Superheroes, and people say, you know, it's a large cast, it's changed continuity several times, it's utterly impenetrable. But to me, trying to pick up a modern X-Men book, it's like, who knows what's going on? Who knows who anyone is? And the way books are written these days, you just can't get into it, because it's just, you know, written from a perspective that it assumes you know everybody, that you know the 20 or 30 years of continuity. Back in these days, books were written as if every issue was somebody's first, and you could pick up any issue, and even if it was a continuing story, there would be some element, you know, introduced, explored, and resolved within that issue. So you still felt like you had a complete reading experience, and you still felt like, you know, you knew what was going on, even if it was, as I say, a continuing story or, you know, a continuing plot line. So I've been calling out these books. We've seen a lot of these before, and you can see them. You know what they are. This was about the time the X-Men really took off. It really was. People forget that it was a slow burn. It took a while for it to come out of bi-monthly status after the new X-Men were introduced. It took a while for them to really take off, and it was right about this era, right around the time of Wolverine's first Berserker Rage, that the book really took off. It was getting recognized critically before that. You can see here it won the Eagle Award that year. The Eagle was a British comic book award. There's number 97. There's an earlier one. And here we are back in the reprint era. Between issues 67 and 93, X-Men just reprinted earlier stories. 107 with, speaking of the Legion, the Imperial Guard, which is sort of Dave Cockrum's take on the Legion that he had done before the X-Men. A lot of these costumes were costume redesigns he had done for the Legion that never got used, that he brought with him. As a matter of fact, some of the X-Men, Nightcrawler, Storm in particular, are characters he initially intended to introduce into the X-Men, I mean into the Legion. Here we have Star Wars number 2, number 3, number 4, Spider-Woman number 1. That'll do well. That's a $50, $60 book. Oh, poor old John Stewart was just bowled over by that, wasn't he? All right, let's pick him back up. Ugh. See if I can get him on camera. And you can see he's got the power battery just kind of slung around his wrist. And I was complaining on one of the Mego forums on Facebook that the hands aren't molded such that he can actually hold his power battery. And some people were telling me they took an X-Acto knife and carved out a little bit of the finger so that he could hold it in this hand. And I'm like, I can't bring myself to do that. I mean, just taking it out of the package, I feel like I'm a bad fan, you know, a bad collector. But I can't take an X-Acto knife to it. He's just going to have to deal with slinging it over his wrist. So here's some Amazing Spider-Man, number 206, 186. Kind of a motion cover there. Rocket Racer, a skateboarding hero slash anti-hero slash villain. Very 1970s. Here's Nova, issue 165. Still only 25 cents. Your clue, it's about to be 30 cents. Now, what is this? Carnage. Carnage number 1 of 5. It's not in very good condition. It's got some issues here at the top. So, as I've told you before, sometimes the newer books I'm not as hip to. You know, what makes this particular book something special? It's probably not the 2-page car ad. It's funny. When I was a kid, you know, you can tell how the audience has changed. When I was a kid, you know, they advertised, you know, sea monkeys and X-ray specs. Here we're advertising hybrid cars, which I guess, you know, if you can afford a comic book these days, you can afford a hybrid car. So I have no idea what makes this book particularly special. I'll have to look it up. Here's 101, but this is the reprint edition. This was done fairly recently, in the 90s, I believe. And you can differentiate it from the original by the silver here, the silver cover. Inside it also says, I believe. Next stack. Ba-doom, ba-ding, ba-dang. First appearance of Bishop. Who cares? Like I said, Bishop came along long after I stopped reading. Here's a newsstand edition of Web of Spider-Man number 1. That should do okay. Marvel Superhero Secret Wars number 1. Wolverine number 8 with the Gray Hulk. That issue does well. Here's the regular edition of the Spider-Man number 1. Here is the silver edition, direct sales. Here is the gold edition. So that this was also direct sales, but this was the second printing. Had the gold cover. Daredevil 270. We saw this recently, and I had to ask what was special about it. And I don't remember. So it could have been that special. This is the tied for the second appearance of the black suit. Here's another Web of Spider-Man number 1. Here's that cool, super cool blockbuster cover of Batman number 194. Detective Comics going to take on a Flash villain, the Weather Wizard. Go-Go Checks, love the Go-Go Checks. Fantastic Four number 54 with the Inhumans. Incredible Hulk 107 with the Mandarin. Not often. Stan didn't really like covers with the heroes back to the reader, but I guess that one works. Marvel Premiere number 1 with the Power of Warlock. No longer Adam Strange or him. Not Adam Strange, Adam Warlock. He's just Warlock, but no longer him as he was known initially. So this one's a little beat up, but this is Marvel Superheroes number 13. That is the second appearance of the Marvel Captain Marvel in his original Kree battlesuit, but this is also the first appearance of Carol Danvers. So that's what makes that book special, even in that grade. Submariner number 2, fighting the Inhuman Triton. X-Men 23, that's a nice early issue. 41. Some rust on the staple there. I'm not very forgiving of water damage or rust on staples when I'm grading. Here's a nice Neil Adams cover. I think that's Neil Adams. Pretty sure it is. Ba-ba-dum. Now this one I think may not be. Don't know. I have to look it up. I get a little confused because right in that period you had some Neil Adams stuff and you had some Jim Steranko stuff, and with Steranko kind of trying to be Neil Adams. Avengers Annual number 1, that is a reprint of an earlier issue. This is kind of a big deal. The first changing of the guard issue that would become a regular trope in the Avengers. That's issue 16, and this would lead into what we know today as Cap's Kooky Quartet, where the Avengers would basically be a foursome. Him, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and Hawkeye over here. So 3 former villains and Captain America. Here's number 31, Giant Man's Back. These are not in great condition, but should still do okay. The Marvel Pop Art Productions logo that only lasted about 3 months. It's a very busy cover, but that's not busy in a bad way. It's still, you can see what's going on. There's no question. It's not really muddy. And when I say muddy, not only did comic books, they used to use much brighter colors than they do today. I think comic book coloring is way too dark today. But also, you had much clearer images. And try this. Try what I call the squint test, right? Take a bunch of Silver Age books or Bronze Age books, kind of line them up, stand back about 10 feet, and squint so that it's all blurred out, and you can still you can see what's going on. And it's that way on purpose. It's so that as you're walking into a store from across the room, they'll call out to you. You can see what's going on. But in today's comic book covers, where they really don't, care about attracting your attention because, the book was sold pretty much 3 months earlier out of the previews catalog, you do that same test today. You line up a bunch of covers, stand back 10 feet, squint. It's all mud. Nothing will look like anything. So, that's my story on that. That's a pretty crappy condition. This is kind of the Avengers version of the first JLA JSA team up cover with the hourglass. Everyone looking in the hourglass. It's part of the Kree Skrull War, I believe. Number 91. Amazing Spider-Man number 100. It's a good issue, but rust on that top staple. I'm not going to give that a great grade. 102. Mobius's butt. But Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 4. All right, let's grab another stack here. What do we got? Early Spider-Man number 53, 82 with Electro, 88, 94 with the Beetle. 95, 97. This is part of that, I believe it's 96, 97, and 98, the 3-part drug story that failed to get a Comics Code Authority seal. And so Stan went ahead and published it anyway. which would lead to an overhaul of the Comics Code Authority and eventually its total dissolution. Here's 98. Again, no CCA seal. 99. Ooh, it's back. A little Craven action for you. Number 30. Oh, crap. Look at this. Oh, my God. What kind of grade am I going to give that? Oh, my God. I haven't seen something like that in a long time. That looks like an animal chew. Well, I was going to say it looks like a dog chew, but that's kind of people shaped. Some kid just went, "Arr, arr, arr." Oh my God. That's going to be like an 05, I guess. And it's got rust on the staples besides. Oh, heaven help me. Oh, that was awful. Fantastic 472. Inhumans and Black Widow and Amazing Adventures, #1. It was a short-lived series, but it was still some good stuff. A lot of the Inhumans was Neil Adams, and a lot of the Black Widow was Gene Colan. Not in this first issue, I don't think. Jack Kirby is on the first issue, and John Buscema. Buscema? Do you say Buscema? Buscema? How do you say it? Strange Tales 136. 140. The End of Hydra? Probably not. 137. And this is the last stack in this box. If I can get it out. That's what she said. Strange Tales 146. 147. Back to Spidey. 136. 132 with the Melter. Missing some cover here on 68. 131. Don't do it, Aunt May. Don't do it. Everybody is facing off against Spidey here in number 141. Great Mysterio cover. 142. You always wondered what was in that bubble. Nothing! Hammerhead with the Spider-Mobile. It's one of my great wants in life. You know, of all the things that were advertised in comic books that I would love to get, a Spider-Mobile is one. And of course, I'm a big Mego fan as well, as you can see by the action figures. So I would love a Mego Spider-Mobile. 59. Strange Tales with Warlock. The first Gamora is, I think, number 180. I always forget, but I think so we've had in this box the first Nebula and the first Gamora. So what do you think of that? Pretty cool, huh? Here's the first Red Guardian. Pretty rough shape. And I don't know that the movie actually did this thing any favors. Random backing board. 178. What is this slip of paper in here? Cuts on back pages. I don't know if that came with the book, or if whoever put it in this box was afraid I would miss it. Got a nice big old water stain there as well. What do they mean by cuts? Oh yeah, look at that. Big old razor blade cuts going up most of the page. Ouch. Ouch. Nice early Tomb of Dracula and an early appearance of Blade. Blade's first appearance was Tomb of Dracula number 10. So there you go. And look at this. We got not one, but two of them. This one's kind of rough, though. So if you can't afford the other one, you might be able to sneak this one out. And what has this got on it? Something... Wait. Something Trading Post. Crayons in California. Fontana, California. Is there still a Cans Trading Post? I don't know. And Longshot. This was a great series. And, I haven't seen a lot by Arthur Adams lately, but I know he's still out there, still working, because I've seen his YouTube channel, his Facebook page. Here's number 3. Here's number 2. Number 5. Number 6. And that's it. So what? We were missing 1 and 4, huh? That's tough luck. But that's it. That's the end of that box. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for coming along with me through that little romp through the 4-color wonderland that we call the American comic book. I don't know why that made me laugh. We'll be back tomorrow with another unboxing. And until then, goodbye, good luck, and please be good to each other. Hey there, gang. It is time for another comic book grading... not grading video. What the fuck am I talking about? Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me.